everybody. Welcome to C-Suite Strategy, Elevate Every Move, Scale Beyond. And our topic of discussion today is Are Introvert Leaders the Untapped Powerhouse of Growth? Your go-to podcast on tech, cybersecurity, strategy, and growth. I am Prem Kumar AS, and today we will be exploring how untapped powerhouses of growth can be nurtured. A special welcome to all tuned to Power of Knowing Forum's weekly podcast series 293 on LinkedIn Live today. To have this topic discussed, we have Johncey George, leadership coach for introvert leaders in specific, executive coach, leadership coach, Bangalore, and ICFPCC coach joining us today to discuss this topic. Let's welcome our esteemed speaker to the podcast event and dive into the topic. Hi, Johncey sir. Welcome to our podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Prem. Thank you for this opportunity.
Johncey, I was looking at the pointer that you wanted to talk about today because introvert is something that I've been there in that journey because I never used to talk. The camera facing was away for me, and I never used to be the front face for most of the discussions or the leadership. I used to give the inputs and stay behind, right? So that is the stage that I was. Now, when you are talking about introverts, I want to understand and more based on your experience. This topic is very, very close to my heart because I was an introvert because I was not able to represent myself as a leader itself. So that is where we started, and we wanted to start looking at how this can be. Your views on it and a small intro about what you do as a journey, and that would help our audience, Johnson.
Absolutely. First of all, introversion is not shyness.
Okay.
The word introvert is often misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I would like to share my perspective around that today. And this is not just my perspective. This is research-backed information which I'm talking about. I've been doing a research about introverts and their personality type for quite some years. Introverts are people who gain their energy when they are quiet. I repeat, introverts are people who gain their energy when they are quiet. When they are in that solitude environment, they gain the energy. Who are extroverts? Extroverts are people who gain their energy when they are with other people. So, when we talk about introverts, it doesn't mean that these are shy people. They generally prefer to be quiet because that's where they gain their energy.
Okay.
Now, when we say that I was an introvert earlier, now I am an extrovert, I was an extrovert, now I am an introvert, that is actually the wrong usage of the words introvert and extrovert. Because introversion or extroversion, those are personality type, we are born with that. So the research which I have done, and I'm an introvert myself, so uh, the way I've understood, the way the research has been saying is introverts always remain introverts, extroverts always remain extroverts. That is never going to change. Probably, a person like me who is an introvert, who wasn't speaking much earlier, more quiet in nature. Now I come out and speak. It doesn't mean that I have become an extrovert. I continue to be an introvert. That's who I am. So we just need to accept who we are as personalities. In fact, over 30% of world population are introverts.
That's a quite a number in terms of 30% because in India we pay taxes of 30%. Just a joke. Okay. To me, see, what the first myth I had was that people who are quiet are introverts, and I didn't know that it is they gain energy when they are silent. The power of being silent is and only talk when it is required or talk at that moment where you need to talk. Am I right in saying that, Johnson?
That's correct. The default nature of an introvert is to be quiet. Because we all want to gain energy. We all want to be energetic, and that is where introverts gain the energy. So the thinking process of introverts, it is, if it is not required, why should I talk? Why should I spend my energy on that? That's the default thinking process. So when we are in a meeting environment, if I don't need to speak, if I can just listen, I'll be more than happy. I'll just listen. But there will be situation. I mean, that's where some of the challenges are. Probably we can talk about that a little later. But the default tendency is to be quiet. So everybody else in the room will be talking. I will be comfortable, sitting quiet and listening to others. That's the default nature of introverts.
In boardrooms dominated extroverts, how do introvert leaders confront the fear of being underestimated despite proven results?
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Okay.
Right? So being an introvert, there is nothing wrong in it. It is not a medical condition, right?
Okay.
No, it's a personality trait. We are born with it. So nobody should be ashamed to say, I'm an introvert.
Okay.
What happens in the corporate world is slightly different. So this is what I tell. In the corporate world, we are expected to speak up, we are expected to network, we are expected to go out for parties, we are expected to give presentations, we are expected to address a whole lot of people. And that is not very natural with introverts, right? As we just discussed, they prefer to be quiet. And hence, the introverts will have a challenge in a corporate world which expects you to speak up in meetings, which expects you to be out there networking, which will expect to be there at lunch and dinner parties, for example. So they have to change their behavior slightly to adapt to that environment. So in boardrooms, or regular meeting rooms where you are expected to speak up, that's where introverts need to have that awareness that if I don't speak up, my ideas won't be heard. That awareness level is the first thing introverts need to have with them. And during my coaching program, I help them build that awareness, help them build that mindset that, in the boardroom I need to speak up, in the corporate environment I need to speak up. So that mindset is something they need to bring about first. The second thing I tell is that you don't need to be loud all the time. You just need to make sure that you are conveying the message, even if it is short, but in an impactful manner. That's what is required in the boardroom. And even today, we will agree that none of us have too much of time. We all want information at our fingertips. And that's what's going to happen in the boardroom also. The leaders want information at the fingertips. So you don't need to go and talk a lot to impress the leaders in the boardroom. You just need to tell the facts. You just need to make sure that you are giving information which will help them take decisions. So you can make it short, but make it impactful.
I think what you're saying is one word is enough to pass a message, right? In a clear, concise way of telling. You don't need to talk too much where you give the facts and you tell this is what is required, right, Jansi?
Absolutely right.
With AI reshaping the decision making, are introverted leaders at risk being overshadowed by the louder tech evangelists?
We are talking about something going to happen in the which is happening today and which is going to happen in the future. Now, be it AI or any meeting environment, I truly believe that as long as leaders can provide value, that's what matters. So introverts especially need to make sure that they speak up, and give value in that particular meeting or in that particular environment where they are in. Let's say if they are on a stage, ensure that they're giving value to the audience out there. That's what matters. So be it any environment, be it technical environment or any other environment, any other corporate setting, it doesn't matter. Introverts can shine. They just need to remember the fact that they need to speak up and add value to the audience out there.
I think there is one point which I want to understand is because most of the people think when they talk loud and make a stance that they are right. And loud means it is clear and they are correct, right? Now, how do we look at this when I am not a loud person, but I want to message it very clearly? How do you calm them? That's a leadership act, right? Because you need to one take the brunt of that guy who's screaming and also calm him down. You are not a person who's talk too much also, but you'll say something which is very very valid. So your take on it.
The way I would approach is be respectful to the ideas that is being shared.
Okay.
We are not going to say your idea is wrong. Be respectful for their ideas. They are talking from their perspective, their background,
Hmm.
whatever they have gone through, their experience. So respect those ideas, but at the same time you have your own point of view. Be an introvert or anybody else, you have your own point of view, and introverts need to be especially be careful and make sure that your ideas are being heard. You should speak up, you should raise your hand and talk in those meetings. That is important. You don't need to overpower the other person, but as long as you are able to speak up and share your ideas in a crisp and clear manner, and something which will be impactful at that point of time for the point being discussed, that should be good enough in my opinion.
Thank you for that, Jansi. Now, in moments of crisis, leaders should or must act fast. Do introverts fear being too slow or reserved to inspire confidence, Jansi?
So one of the strengths of introverts is that deep thinking capability or analytical capability. They
Hmm.
also have that ability to listen carefully to others because they are quiet in nature. So they have that ability to listen deeply. So they are more empathetic in nature. Hence, that empathetical skills are there with introverts. In a crisis situation, one of the important things is to understand what is happening around. So to listen others and get their perspectives is also important. It doesn't mean that you are acting slow. It just means that you are acting based on the data you are receiving. You are taking time to take that decision, take that right decision and move forward. So I would say that introverts have that strength, hence, to act in crisis, to understand deeply what is going on, and then take decisions. So I don't think anything negative over there with respect to introverts.
Now, coming to cyber leaders are often struggling to translate technical jargons in the boardroom with clarity. How do introverts break through this pain point without performing extroversions?
Yeah. In fact, Prem, you were there in the audience when we had that
Conference.
session at CSA, right?
Yeah.
CSA Bangalore.
Yes.
So in the boardroom, there are leaders who are coming from different background.
Hmm.
A lot of time, leaders also need to understand what is the business impact that a situation is bringing about, right? At that point of time, you need to address all the leaders sitting in the boardroom in the language they want to hear. A CFO might want to hear about what could be probably the financial implication. A CTO might want to hear what are the technical challenges and how that is going to be addressed. The PR team might want to know something different. The CEO might want to know what is the bigger impact that is getting created. So, a leader in the boardroom should be able to address these concerns in their language in a crisp and clear manner, and you can address it to them. So, CFO, these are the implications in terms of finance of what is being happening. CEO, this is the larger implication that may happen to the organization because of this. And to the CTO, these are the technical challenges which we are facing, and this is the timeline by which we are going to fix it. And these are the kind of issues that are happening, and this is the team that are working to fix it. Give them the information they are looking for, and that's the kind of conversation we need to have in the boardroom.
Now you're saying that every conversation has to be kind of a moment. Silent crisis recovery led by introvert CSOs is what you're saying, right? Crisis hesitation is fear also, right, Jansi?
Well, yes, crisis will have fear,
Hmm.
but the quiet nature of introverts can also ensure some kind of a calmness, right? We don't need to be all worked up in such situations. So, introverts, I would say, can bring a lot of calmness. In fact, I remember, I should remember my CTO of my first organization, Arvind Agarwal, an introvert, very calm in nature. Arvind will listen to everything. Arvind, if you are listening to this, I know you would listen to everything calmly and then say, oh, you just go and do this, right? Even in the crisis situation. So that helps. That extra seconds of thinking or extra minutes of thinking, it helps us to think clearly and then take the right decisions. That's what I would say.
Are you
So,
saying?
so
Are you
instead of
saying?
fear, Prem, instead of instilling fear, they create that calmness among others.
No, in crisis, silence can be strategy.
It can be strategic,
Okay.
absolutely. When I say silence, it's not like you don't speak at all and you go quiet hiding. So you can take time. At the same time, you can inform others that I'm taking time. I will come back to you in another 5 minutes or half an hour. Give them that time frame to think. So it's not about going completely blank, but it's about taking that time out to reflect. And that time out is about maybe reflecting oneself, or it could be about having discussions with the right people during the crisis time, involving the right people. um, that's what I would say. It may appear as silence to somebody else who is not part of that discussion, but at that point of time, introverts need to be very clear to them that, hey, I'm working in the background to address this.
Now, what we've seen is networking. As see, we were doing some work in the event as well, right? CSA, what we are doing. Most of them don't want to come to you and talk, also, right? They feel it is not required, but they miss out the bigger point, saying that network only helps you get more people, and connect will give you a lot of exposure, right? Now, coming to that point, network is often touted as an essential for growth. How do introvert leaders tackle this pain point for a small talk without losing their influence?
Well, let me be honest. Networking is a challenge for we introverts. We ideally don't want to network.
Yeah.
We are very, very comfortable, being in one corner and observe what is
Leave
happening.
me, I am there. I'll observe, listen, come back. Thank you. And
Yeah,
we are good.
that's our comfort zone. But as you rightly pointed out, in today's world, networking is absolutely important. Be it a cybersecurity leader, technical leader, or anyone. right? Today, even in the job market, networking is important. So, as an introvert, in fact, one of the things which I coach people is how you can effectively network without that struggle. That is something which I coach people on. So, introverts can adopt a strategy of networking. For example, in my case, Prem, when I go to a networking event, I don't intend to speak to all the hundreds of people and give out my business cards to all the hundreds. I know that my energy level will not sustain for that. So I go to a networking event with an intention that, hey, I want to build a fruitful relationship with 10 people out there or 20 people out there, or I want to meet five cybersecurity leaders in this meeting, in this conference, and I want to make sure that I build that relationship with them. So I go with the goal, saying that this is all I want to do, and if I achieve that, I go back happy. So I go with that kind of a goal, because networking is also not about just distributing our business cards. So one of the definitions which I give for networking, it is an art of building and nurturing reciprocal relationships. That reciprocal relationship has to happen. So introverts can look at how we can build that reciprocal relationship, where the other person would also want to be in touch with you, you want to be in touch with them, so you have some value being exchanged. That is something what a good networker should do. So in a networking scenario like that, you can look at how you can focus on building that relationship with a few people, and make sure that that relationship is powerful relationships that gets built.
Coming to public speaking, which I think your forte, where you are talking about leadership and it is specific to introverts. Many introvert leaders find public speaking draining, right? And how can they tackle that pain point of visibility in the world? Obsessed with, you have many platforms, right? TED Talk and other platforms. Now, how do they get to view this from your view, Johncey?
When we talk about public speaking, one is when you go on a stage and speak, or be in a podcast like this, or it could also mean that how you are doing a presentation in your office to your senior leaders or customers. The way I approach this is about, you have an audience sitting in front of you. They are expecting some value from you. Are you able to give that value to them? If you're able to give that value to them, you should be happy and content as a public speaker. And for giving that value, you don't need to speak for 1 hour. It can be even 10 minutes. And Prem, when we had this episode itself, I said, Prem, my answers are not going to be very long. It could be short.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned that. So
Yes.
it need not be very long conversations you need to have as a public speaker. You look at what value can you give to the audience sitting in front of you, and make sure that value is given to them. For example, even when you are doing a presentation to your CEO or senior leaders in the organization, think from the perspective of what do they want to hear from you. They do not want an entire story. They are expecting something from you. So your primary objective is to understand what do they expect from you, and make sure that is given to them right in the beginning, and not like a complete movie story where you build up something, then go into a climax and then tell. Maybe.
I can recall one big question. This is about myself because uh, when I was part of Wipro as a delivery head, and my PMO head used to call me and said, "Prem, आपका email कहानी क्यों लिख रहा है. I used to write like, you said this is what I think, you said this, I responded this, and then he said, क्या कहना चाहते हो, 3 शब्द में बता सकते हो. And I said, how do I do that? He used to say, be clear, go into dotted pointers where you say, A, this is what we discussed. Is there an update? B, this is what was a problem. We found a solution. When can we implement? C, this is the this is a delay which has happened from your side or from our side. This is the change request that is going to come. Be precise and you will get it. Then what I did is I wrote one mail. And again he said, he called me immediately and said, Prem, what is this mail? You said write it in bullet points. So I made it bullet points. But you put it in red. I said, yes, that's kind of thing that you told me to do. This one I wanted to write it in that. He said, लाल लाल लिखने से customer तेरे को business देगा क्या? I said, when you want to highlight something as an alert, you put it in red, right? So, agreed. Now, understand this customer. This customer is not ready to do this project now. So, go and find out when he wants to do it. Can you stop the project? I said, I can do. Then he said, ask your boss who's running this project. Is he okay to stop the project? Then I said, I went and asked. He said, you come here. Now the problem is you go and ask him, he'll say this customer is paying you an annual support maintenance for one project. If you are closing, he'll stop the support maintenance project. This is where I learned you should not write stories. You should write precise and concise, saying that 1, 2, 3, this is the action item, this is the next steps.
Yeah.
So that is what I learned, but it was a little harder way, Johncey. But that,
Prem,
really changed my way of writing mails itself.
yeah, and if you look at today's tools which are providing any of these tools, finally they say this is a summary of this email,
Yeah.
or this is a summary of this Zoom chat, right? So everybody wants that summary today. So why don't you start with the summary and then expand the story if they need to hear?
Now, there was another way of saying is this is again from Simon Sinek's book where he says the leaders speak last, right? So you get all the information, you try to build, and then you say this is what is the overall discussion that has happened. This is where we stand, and this. My another mentor of mine in Wipro, I would like to name him as well. His name is David C. Matthew. So he told me one thing, Prem, don't interrupt when somebody is telling. First point. Take a pen, write down all the pointers you write down. Once he is done, you will start summarizing. Sir, you said this. This is what is your requirement. This is what your requirement. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I right in understanding? Then he said, if he says yes, then you say, this is my action plan. Otherwise, what will happen is he will tell you something you would have never noted. You would come to a conclusion that we spoke on this and we will never document it. Now you have a document first. Second, when you reply, you say, these are the pointers which we discussed. I summarized and this is where we stand. These are the next steps. Simple and clear. So in that organization, I learned what is leadership. And that organization only created leaders, I will say. You go and see any part of the world, you'll find one Wiproite doing something great as an organization, as a leader and stuff. I've seen leaders moving to IBM. I've seen leaders moving to Accenture. Most of the organizations have one or the other guy from Wipro. That's where leaders are born, is what I've seen. Now, again, in cybersecurity crisis, media often demands bold sound bites, right? How do introvert leaders communicate effectively without burning out?
So we need to have clarity about what we are going to speak. So a lot of time introverts might also need that preparation required for a particular meeting. introverts are also people who want to think deep and give the right answers. So in such kind of a crisis situation, there are two, three things. One, we can do. One is the preparation, which I said. The second, you can have the right team members with you who can give you that support where required. So I don't think it is weakness to have your next level of leaders with you to support you if information is required. I would say that's a strength, that you have powerful leaders with you on that. And the third thing is, if you do not know the answer, say you don't know the answer and I will come back to you, rather than saying something which you yourself may not be believing. That's what I would say in such situations. What do you feel, Prem?
I think what you said is very, very apt, Jansi, because I faced this issue and I went and told something that confidently at one of the client meeting, and then I found out it is not right, right?
Mm.
And then we had to go back and then said, "Oh, you did not know. You told this. You could have told that you did not know." Then I learned something is that when you don't know, it is right to accept that you don't know. And we came up saying that everybody does not know everything, right? So it is not that you will know photography or you will know gardening or you will know the best practices of something, but you would know what to do and the expert is talking about. So if we are doing a project to an expert, we should say, this is what I understand, is there anything that you have to know? That is where I learned that piece where we say, if I don't know, you should be blunt in saying, sorry sir, I don't know, but I can check with the expert team that I have, or I'll come back to you saying that let me answer it because I don't have clarity there.
Well said, Prem. You have been vulnerable and sharing that. It's the same thing with me also. I have burned my fingers in the past when I was working in the corporate world. As an introvert, I'm supposed to say something. You're put under pressure, but I wanted to think, but there was so much of pressure around. At that point of time, I was not trained like this, right? So I would just say what comes to my mind at that point of time, and then I realize that probably wouldn't have been the right answer. So yes, I would advise everyone to remain calm, think, take support from your other leaders, and as you also agreed, if you don't know the answer, say you don't know the answer.
I, I'll take one more example here, Jansi, because see, I used to handle the cloud security side, cloud infrastructures, IT infrastructure. Now we call cloud. Earlier we had the physical servers and data centers there, so it was IT infrastructure, right? So my forte was compute side, backup and other stuff, right? But when I have to looking at data center management, which is not an IT part, where you have to look at the physical infrastructure, building, fire systems, and all these things. So in those meetings, what we used to do is we would take the experts, and if any question comes, as a project manager, I would ask from a project standpoint, I would answer. And if there is very specific and technical, I will say, this is my expert. He's here, he will answer. And I'll pass it to him to answer. So that is one way of addressing customer queries is what I understood. And also understanding some basics of anything and then passing on will help gain trust also is what I understood. Jansi, your take on that, Jansi?
Absolutely. Trust, it takes time.
Yeah.
Trust takes time. Trust is also not built overnight. Like, you cannot build trust with a customer overnight. It needs to have some element of background work which we need to do. And in the leadership world, we call it the personal branding also. You need to brand yourself and build that trust over a period of time. So when we are having a relationship with a customer, we need to also admit to the fact that we need to spend time with the customer to build that relationship, so that they will trust you. They will trust your judgment. They will trust all the decisions that you are taking. That will also give them the confidence that we are doing the right thing for them. So building trust is a long term process, and leaders should invest time in that. That's what I believe.
I'll take another example here because I was in projects handling the region where it was either south or national wide or globally, right? And when you went into certain customers, customers used to say, I don't want this project manager itself. And that has been most of the cases, right? And my boss had told me very clearly, in an organization, putting a project manager is a task, right? Now, changing is another task. Changing that project manager is a task. So he gave me one mantra saying that you go to the customer, he says you tell you to get out. So you say, okay, sir, I'll go out, no problem. But this project is fixed for 3 months. This is where we stand. Okay. I am your project manager. I am designated to do this project. Okay. Now, if you want to change, this is the impact. It will take so many days for you to get a new project manager. I'm okay to replace myself. But if you have a challenge with what I'm communicating, then I will look for a change. But for that, you need to sit and discuss, right? And then we need to look at where you don't agree with me. I'm fine with disagreements are part of any project. So tell me where you don't agree. Then we used to sit and list out, pull out those points, and then finally I only would done the project. There would be no change of the project manager. And those customers who we did like that are my best customers till date. I call them, they pick up my call. Today also, after 10 years also, I can call that customer and say, sir, kaise ho? He'll say, hey, how are you, man? I've been seeing your podcast. I've been seeing what you're doing. Kaisa chal raha hai? Good that you're doing. Can I do something for you? They'll talk like that. Today, I have done about 400 odd projects in that organization from 5 lakhs to 2,500 crores is what is the revenue that I worked for those projects. But when we look at the customer base, that 100, customers who we did repeat business are in touch with me today also. Though I left the organization 5 years back, today also they pick up my calls.
Yeah. So while you are on that and about building relationships, like you rightly said, if okay, so introverts are people who have limited number of friends in
Yeah,
their circle. They don't have too many friends, but they build very deep relationships with them. So
true.
one of the strengths of introverts actually is that ability to build relationship
Deep
with
relationships.
others, deep relationships. So they can be amazing in relationship building with customers. So I just wanted to share that point over here. So they can, sometimes we ask, can they be customer facing? Can they be in
Yeah.
sales? Absolutely, yes, they can be, because they have that ability to build relationships and deep relationships.
And there was one quote which I saw somewhere. Silent people are not people who don't talk. They talk to people who they get synced with and their mindset matches. Your take on it, Johncey.
Repeat that again.
Silent people are not people who don't want to talk,
Mhm.
right? And when they have a sync person who is in that wavelength, they talk too much or they talk very well, right? So the conversations are very smooth. They make conversations easy, and that sync level goes to the next level of connect.
Absolutely. I mean, so this is especially for introverts, they generally don't talk too much. But when they are in that circle of people who they trust, they have built that relationships, sometimes you would wonder, is that person really an introvert? So a lot of people ask me the question, you seem to be networking well, you seem to be interacting well with people, you speak on stage, you coach, you train. Are you really an introvert? So it's more about, once you get comfortable with a set of people, then networking with them becomes easier. Once you know all these theory that you need to add value to the audience, then public speaking becomes easier. So introverts can build on these kind of nuggets and be extremely successful in the corporate world. So there are a lot of strengths introverts have. One of them, as we are just discussing, the point is about deep relationship, and they definitely can. And that quietness which you are seeing, it could be their default nature, but they can really be talkative in an environment where they really want to talk.
Absolutely, Johncey. Now, coming to one point that I want to understand is growth cultures always reward the loud brainstorming, right? And how do these introverts solve the problem of being drowned into innovation cycles?
You are specifically referring here to brainstorming and idea generation, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah, right.
So,
I'll add one pointer here again. So sorry to. You give me a task, I will do it. But you ask me to think and give me an idea, I will not. Kind of people, right? Or there would be some people who would say, I've told this is what should happen, and when you ask them to do, they cannot do it.
so in a innovation kind of a culture, I think that is something which introverts can definitely thrive, because we discussed earlier, introverts are quiet in nature, they are deep thinkers, they are also very creative in nature. Because of this quietness, that deep thinking, they can come out with creative ideas. The challenge for them is the natural challenge. That ideas, they don't speak up. So, as we discussed earlier, even in such kind of an environment, what introverts really need to understand is that you still need to speak up, share your ideas, be it in an innovation kind of an environment in a closed circle, or be it in a public forum like this. Our ideas should reach to more people. The ideas should be heard by the right people. That is the mindset change that they need to bring in. But otherwise, I would say they can do amazingly well in an innovation environment. They are very creative in nature. In fact, they will not kind of negate the ideas that is said by others or being generated in the room. They will always think like, can I build on top of that idea? How can I extend that idea further? That is a kind of thought process that would be going on in their mind. They would not think of, oh, no, that's not a good idea, that's a bad idea, let's do this. Rather than, they will look at, okay, interesting, can I improve that, can I make it better? That's the kind of thinking process they have.
Now, there was one boss again, one mentor whom I worked for. He used to tell, listen to people who talk and give you. If a silent person is talking, then don't interrupt him in the middle. He would give you some things which you will never think of, also, right? So, and he used to say, once you heard, you tell him, okay, I've heard this. Is there a way that we can do another alternative also? Do you think how we can look at? Can have you thought about doing this in a different way? Why this vendor, why not that vendor where you had a good experience, you had something, right? So why don't you think, did you speak to him? This I will tell is, there's again David C Matthew, again I'll mention. He used to handle CRG, customer relations group, for us, right? And he used to say, now this is network, this is platform and storage, which is Prem, this is Mr. Remus, who's network, and this one, there's an issue. Now who should solve? Both should sit and say, where are the interface points, whether this is going and this is not going. So if you can tell that, I think that is a better solution rather than you and me telling where it should work. So you used to bring that kind of a synergy. This guy knows this guy knows this. You bring those guys. Now tell guys, this is where we are stuck. This is a problem that we are facing. Data is coming but it is not going. Data is generated in the system but it's not going out of the network. This is what it is happening. This is where you see. Now this is the problem solution. Now tell, these are the two experts. These people handle the practice. Give me a solution. Then they'll ask questions. ये कितने का bandwidth है? That is what this and this. Then one by one, end of the discussion, we used to get a solution, because two people are talking in synergy in saying that this could be a problem, this could be a problem, this could be a problem, and finally the outcome comes in.
Yeah.
What do you think, Johncey?
Yeah. So the leaders of the organization also need to give space
Mm,
for these quiet thinkers.
yeah,
They should admit the fact that they have ideas with them. They need time to come out with those ideas. So it's not like asking, okay, what's your opinion, what's your opinion, what's your opinion, and move forward. It's like, if you know that a person is quiet, you ask that person a question, give the time for that person to think and respond. So leaders also need to personalize their approach in the boardroom, so that the introverts can also speak up. They have that opportunity given to speak up.
true. Now, Johncey, coming to our last point that we want to look at today is tech teams thrive on collaboration, yet introverts prefer solitude. How can leaders balance personal energy with the team's demands?
I think I just answered that question in
Mhm.
the previous question. Is personalized leadership approach. Today's leaders, in my opinion, cannot be like leaders of 20 years ago where they command and everything will be done. Today, the youngsters also, as I see, if you ask them to do something, the question will be why? Why should I do it this way? Why can't I do it this way? Right? So we need to have personalized approach with our team members, with our team. So that too should be happening with introverts. So the leaders also should understand what's the kind of personality our team members have, what is their working style, and the leaders also should try to adapt to that. That's something which I would say in such situations.
Thank you for that, Johnsy. And with this, we are at the fag end of the questions that we had in mind. Very insightful. What you are saying in as many words is that people who are introverts are not people who are silent, but they will talk less, but they have a knowledge to talk and be very specific, and they don't like over speaking. Am I saying it right, Jansi?
Absolutely.
And current, yeah.
They will speak less, but to the
Hmm.
point.
I would also say is underestimating introverts might become the boardroom hidden edge, right? If that could be one pointer that I would like to say, or the hype is loud. Introverts bring clarity, is what I would like to say in terms of when they speak, they say this is what it is, this is over, right? And with that, I would like to conclude this session for today, Johnsy. Any final pointers that you want to add before we talk about what is coming up next week, Johnsy?
Yeah. So my request to introverts, you are absolutely brilliant. You don't need to shy away from saying that you are introverts. All you need to do is to recognize the strength within you. In the corporate world, you need to acquire certain additional skills, acquire that skills, and you can be unbeatable over there. And the message to the leaders out there, introverts, we are actually quiet in nature. We need time to express ourselves. Give us
Yeah.
the time, and you will see amazing leaders in your organization helping you grow your business.
Thank you, Johnsy. With that, I would like to say this podcast is streamed live to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Hope you found this discussion useful. And thanks for joining us. Our next podcast is on next Tuesday, which we are talking about from exploit to countermeasures, refining cybersecurity with AI on 23rd September at 6:30 p.m. Looking forward to see you. Good day and bye. Johncey, thank you for being here today. It's a great honor to have you here, sir. Good day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.